Hey, Jake Lloyd Bacon, some really exciting news up top.
What's that, Scott Narver?
Now that Tony Khan is an on-screen character in AEW and he's been in the ring and gotten some action, he's going to debut a new character with a whole new name.
Oh, that's a fantastic idea. I mean, every actual wrestler needs a gimmick. What's it going to be?
Big Money Mark.
Oh, I like that. Big Money Mark.
Big Money Mark.
It's got a nice ring to it.
Tony Khan, pain in the neck, and more today on Pro Wrestling Palskis.
Hey, Scott Narver.
Hey, Jake Lloyd Bacon.
How's it going, bud?
It's going all right. How's it going with you?
It's going good. I was playing a little WWE 2K24.
See?
And I got gripes now.
Now?
Yeah. I always have gripes. We should start like a griping like a section of the show where it's
That's
just
when
like
you speak.
Griping.
Like, you see that graphic in the audio to play the...
All right. WWE 2K, when you do a Royal Rumble, right, and you just allow it to just pick everybody automatically, there should be a setting that you turn on where you don't get duplicate characters just from like different years, because that's annoying to me.
Mick Foley came out 3 times during the Royal Rumble.
But not at the same time, though. You never saw 2 of them in the same place at the same time.
I don't think that's true. I think
who
Dude
were those?
Love
I
eliminated
got a question.
Mankind.
Were they was there a contract for each of those people to be in that Rumble that year? And if so, did they know he was going to get eliminated before the second version of him?
It was a different time. It wasn't all guaranteed money then, you know? It was...
Were they
you work, you get paid. And so he's like, I'm going to work more. I'll get paid more.
I think that it was just the roster in the back. Okay. And then it was like somebody at Gorilla when the countdown was going, and he was just going, okay, now it's your turn. And he's just pointing at random people in the roster to go out and wrestle in the Royal Rumble.
It was a 28-person roster. So he had to do it.
Got it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the program. We must acknowledge our current PWP World Champion before we get too far into the Strong Style, aka Gaines. We'll be defending that title in the next episode of the program. If you would like to be the PWP World Champ, have your name in lights, snag some swag, as well as pick a show for us to watch on the watch along, then you got to become a championship level patron over at patreon.com/PW Palskis. Scott Narver. A lot of stuff happening in the world of pro wrestling. A lot of news. Lots of people talking about lots of stuff.
Crazy amount of stuff going on this week.
We should attempt to get into some of it.
Okay. Well, here we go. Let me know time-wise how we're doing, because I'll just keep going with stories. Let me know when we need to get to our top story. How about that?
All right, we'll do.
So, as we know, wrestlers like fucking, because we got a lot of babies on the way. Logan Paul is reproducing. He's going to be a father. The WWE United States Champion revealed on Monday that his fiance, Danish model Nina Agdal, is expecting. TMZ is reporting Agdal is a few months along in her pregnancy. And on Instagram, Paul wrote, "Another Paul coming this fall." How about that? Huh?
So, do we think that Hunter has already written a contract out for this baby too? Because I feel like he's contracting all these babies, right?
No, it's Performance Center babies. Yes, not one. It's some. He's having a baby with some civvy.
Oh, of course. Right. It has to be 2 wrestlers.
Yeah, have you seen Nina Agdal wrestle? No.
It doesn't mean she can't.
Was she there at the draft going, yay, I can't clap too much, we're in a bouncy ring?
I wouldn't know, to be honest with you. The answer could be yes, but I would have had no idea.
You love that show. You know everybody. You know all their unusual names. And Ogdal seems like it's a NXT contender name right there.
It's a possibility. What's the last name again?
Agdal. Ogdal.
Oh, that's the last name? I thought you said that was the first name. What's the first name?
Nina.
I'm trying to think of a good gimmick for Nina Ogdal.
Are you going to follow her on Instagram?
Don't ogle Ogdal.
Ruby Soho and Angelo Parker are expecting their first child. Soho made the announcement in a segment with Parker taped Wednesday night to air on Saturday's AEW Rampage episode. So, they're together.
Who knew?
Probably Matt Big Fingers Menard or whatever his name is.
Why is he Big Fingers?
There's Daddy Magic and Fat Fingers or whatever they are. I don't know. They were in the group with Jericho, and Jericho never said their names, so I'd never learned them.
Great. So I'm just curious, is Big Fingers something that you just threw out there just now, or was that? Oh, okay, perfect. That's great.
You had seen
great
them,
gimmick.
and we had the discussion of like we don't fully know their names.
They were in a cage,
so I'm reaching. I don't know, but they're having a baby. And then WWE's Valhalla and Eric are expecting their second child. So hopefully to appease Michael Cole, this one will have horns. The couple made the announcement in a social media post with the caption, November of 2024, new Rome boy incoming. We're so unbelievably happy.
Vikings always need to have a second kid in case they need to ritualistically sacrifice one of them. So you need a backup.
Well, yeah, when there's a Viking funeral, who's going to set mom and dad on fire?
Right.
In the boat so far away. Gilbert Short, let me know it's cool hand Angelo Parker. And it wasn't that cool.
Big fingered Angelo.
It's a hot hand.
Oh, I'm so glad to see so many people in the chat. Look at that. By the way, get on in the chat. If you're not joining these live, you're missing out.
So those are all the babies. And then along with that, some would say a big baby has re-signed with WWE. The Rock confirmed on social media that Drew McIntyre has re-signed. There was a rumor there going around for a little bit. Like Sheamus was one too, where contracts were coming up and everybody was speculating. And I'm especially happy that Drew McIntyre is not going anywhere because he's on fire right now. I don't want to see him bouncing around going to other companies. Like there's so much untapped.
I'm glad that Sheamus re-signed, but if he didn't re-sign, I wouldn't have been mad. I would have been like, yeah, that's a guy who could go and, try to recreate himself elsewhere, or just like, he's got that guy could go wherever he wants to do anything. Drew McIntyre has built up so much equity right now in WWE with this specific character. And there are so many unpulled threads and unfinished business, especially with Punk, that not re-signing now would be the dumbest. I would be so upset. Imagine like starting a program with one of the hottest guys and then be like, nah, I'm going to leave the company. Like that'd be terrible business. So
just money on the table.
Yeah. True.
Unless someone was paying you, triple to go like, yeah, I don't do any of that. Like, okay.
Right.
You got it.
Nikki Bell in the chat says, yeah, more Drew for my eyes. Respect that.
Do you?
He likes
that he's just eye candy to one of our listeners?
Yeah.
That what Drew as a man has to say means nothing. That's just gobbledygook for Mickey Bell, that Mickey's like, eye candy.
Mickey can't even understand him with that thick Scottish accent. Mickey really struggles with accents.
Yeah, some people can't understand you with that thick Tamina accent.
What's that?
Tamina. Then, since you had to re-sign Drew McIntyre and pay him a lot of money, 3MB was still further and further away from a reunion because Jinder Mahal, Xia Li, Veer, Sangha, Jean Quinn, Cameron Grimes and the biggest forehead since Great Khali, Von Wagner, were released by the company in recent days. So they were drafted to the unemployment line, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think out of that entire lot, Cameron Grimes was the only one that I'm really surprised about, because he seemed like a Triple H guy. Like, I felt like he was one of those people who they kept doing so many different things with him, and he was willing to play with whatever they gave him. He always delivered. I thought that he was going to be one of those people that with Hunter at the helms, Lee, that he would get a little push or get a little, security. But I'm a little disappointed in that one. The rest of them, I'm just like, yeah, okay.
I think Jinder's a shock.
I mean,
he had just worked with a new board of directors.
That is true. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they've never pulled the switch
with Gewurz, who wrote the segment. Rock's writer, specifically, like they worked all together.
I wonder if they didn't get rid of like Jinder or Veer first, and then go like, they got rid of Jinder and like, all right, well, this Veer guy's never going to get over then if Jinder's not around. If they were like a package deal because of that group.
Don't know. And here you were talking so much about Veer.
I know our last episode, our whole last episode, like we talked about obviously we talked about everybody on the roster, but so much of that episode was completely and totally defunct before it even was released because of when we recorded it.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff that
anything can happen.
We're talking about what happens, or you break up a group or something. We talked about Imperium and the potential breakup of them, and that certainly happened.
Yeah.
So we're maybe they stole from us. So
listen
again.
They listen. Is there anybody from that group that you're that's not Jinder that you're surprised about or excited for to go elsewhere?
I think Jinder's the one that's a bummer because I think he's a little older. I don't know if there will be interest to go like, hey, just go sit out for a little while and we'll bring you back, because now it's a different regime. And we know we have Nick Khan also at the helm of all things money. So a Cameron Grimes could be, hey man, just go chill out for a little bit. We'll see you around soon. Same with some of these other people. But Jinder, I don't know. If when he does come back, all of a sudden we see him breaking up fights and he's a producer or something, and we go, oh, that's it.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, Cameron Grimes is a bummer. I know he had an emotional post about it on Instagram, which I feel like don't try not to do that. Try not to do the shirtless. I've just been crying for 30 minutes.
Hey, it worked for Drake Maverick for a very little bit of time.
That's not true. He kept a shirt on.
I got a pitch though. Okay. So one of the best things that AEW had going in the early days was the fan favorites of Jungle Express. They were so fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jurassic Express. Sorry. Right. You had Luchasaurus. This guy's obviously a dinosaur. Everybody knows that. He's just an actual dinosaur roaming the earth. And then, of course, you've got Jungle Boy, who was just like this little Jungle Boy. But now Jungle Boy's not Jungle Boy anymore. He's doing, yeah. Well, I ripped that page out of my WWE encyclopedia, my EW encyclopedia. So Jungle Boy is no longer a part of that, and I don't think Luchasaurus is doing. I think Luchasaurus needs another person to recreate the Jurassic Express. So I think you get Kurt Wagner to come in as Jungle Man because he looks so much like a caveman. Okay, and then you've got Jungle Man, and you've got Luchasaurus, and we have a new Jurassic Express. Jurassic Experience is what we're going to call it.
Man, I thought you were going Jinder with all this, that we're going to get a Jinder Express. And then he's going to be Jinder Boy. And then he's got the Bollywood boys, the Bollywood stuntmen. So
where are they at? What are they doing?
I don't know.
They need, wherever they are, that's where Jinder needs to go. And the three of them need to start working together again because they had such fun chemistry.
They did. Speaking of fun chemistry.
Yeah, Gilbert says Luchasaurus isn't even a Luchasaurus anymore. That's the point.
He's kill switch.
He needs Jungle Man, who's like an old friend who is frozen, a la Encino Man, Okay. They used to be friends way back in the Jurassic period, but Jungle Man was frozen in ice. He's been recently unfrozen, and he's there to, rekindle his friendship with Luchasaurus and remind him of who he is and that he's a dinosaur. I did just call Von Wagner Kurt. Thank you, Gilbert. I did. I forgot what his name was, and Kurt Wagner. It's just in my head.
Yeah. The Iron Claw, A24's critically acclaimed biopic on the Von Erich family, is coming to streaming next month. The movie will be available to stream on Max starting on Friday, May 10th. This comes 5 months after The Iron Claw was released in theaters in December of 2023. Highest of recommendations. Watch it if you don't feel like buying it and owning it to your sad movie wrestling collection. Definitely stream it. Well worth a watch. It's fantastic. I've seen it twice in the theaters, and I've been anticipating watching it again.
I'll argue against it being sad wrestling movie. It is, but it's also significantly more hopeful than the other movies in that category. There's a beauty to it that maybe is lacking in something like The Wrestler.
Yeah, although I have every time, the 2 times I went to the theater and saw it, there were plenty of people sobbing, and my favorite was still, I think I told the story before, but there's a row of people that had gone, like a bunch of dudes and one gal, and they were all standing outside the theater after it was over, and they're talking, and she's listening, and then she points out with, "Wait, that was a real story?" With the emphasis being that shit really happened to those people.
Like when they started like showing photos, that's when her whole world came crumbling down around her.
No, it was after the movie. So the photo at the end, if you don't really know, it's just like, yeah, there's a bunch of people. Maybe they made the movie. I don't know.
All those kids. They worked in craft services.
Because you're looking for the one, you go, that doesn't look like any of the people I just saw. That guy's shoes not even on. Oh, wait. But that's not all the movie news we got. This is not a movie podcast, but whoa, someone's making their feature film debut. Cody Rhodes set to appear in the upcoming Naked Gun reboot. According to a report from the Daily Wire, Rhodes will make a significant cameo in a remake of the 1988 comedy classic. The film will star Liam Neeson as Detective Frank Drebin. In the original, the starring role was played by the late Leslie Nielsen. Pamela Anderson has been cast as Drebin's love interest in the film, and showrunners have teased that Rhodes' character might fall under a hypnotic spell in the film, something that happened to numerous characters in the original. He could be the Reggie Jackson of this movie.
That's exactly what it sounds like. I didn't know this was happening.
And
I'm interested in Liam Neeson.
Naked Gun
That's interesting.
Reboots, because you in a pre-show, I believe it was, have crazy conspiracy theories about how OJ's innocent. So this is great news for you.
It's his son did it, and he covered for his son. Not a conspiracy. It's just the truth. Anyways, I am excited about this. I'm interested in Liam Neeson being the guy. Do you think they just were like, hey, who has the closest sounding last name? And then that's how they picked him?
No, I think close to Schnoz.
Oh, that makes sense. That sounds fun. Good for Cody.
Good for Cody.
What was that?
Good for Cody.
Wasn't there like a USA Network show that he was on? Like Warehouse 13 or like one of those sorts of shows that used to come on after Raw?
Arrow?
Wait.
You mean Arrow?
I think it was before then, but was he also on Arrow? I don't think I remembered that. Is that why he was? Is that why
you don't remember
Stephen
that?
Amell
The whole, yeah, that's why all that nonsense happened. This one is sad, and hopefully all things are well. A friend to this show in its different iterations previously. After over 10 years as WWE's artist in residence, Rob Schamberger has announced that he is no longer with the company. In a social media post, Schamberger revealed that he has parted ways with WWE after 10 plus years. He wrote, "After over a decade, my time with WWE has come to a close. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity over this period of time to focus on making art, and I'm so lucky that doing so has brought so many wonderful people into my life. I've had the opportunity to learn from some of the smartest and most capable people in their fields that I've ever met. Real friendships, people that I truly love, have been the result of this experience. And it brought you, the person reading this, into my life. How amazing is that? If you ever bought my art, if you ever came up to say hello at a show, if you ever just gave me a thumbs up on social media, thank you. Thank you for allowing my work into your life. This chapter has come to a close and a new one is about to begin that I'm genuinely excited about. The work never stops. Love you more, Rob.
Wow, that's surprising. I wonder what the future holds for him. It is one of those things where it's like, oh, now we get to see his art that's not just wrestlers, that's actually kind of fun and interesting and exciting. But
Transformers.
Also, I thought he was going to go. He's going to
sitting on a stack of Megatrons.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like he's such a, it's a weird thing too, because it's rare that you like, he has celebrity status in the wrestling community for being the WWE art guy. And I can't think of that in any other industry that's not obviously like comic books or like where it's like, oh, who's the art guy for, fucking UFC or who's the art guy for a specific television show? Who's the art guy for Game of Thrones or another like mainstream TV show? It's not a common thing that like the name.
You think Dexter Lumis has to pull double duty now?
Oh shit! Just gonna be like really zany caricatures of everybody from now on.
He's like, oh, I gotta do this too. Jeez. Rob Schamberger has been a class act. He's been so friendly to the show in the past. Former hosts had known him, and I got to know him a little bit through that, and his wife Katie. They were always so nice, so welcoming. I was trying to find it this past week since I moved. I haven't been able to find it. I have a broken Matt Hardy piece done by Rob Schamberger. It's amazing, nice. But I currently can't find it. I'm hoping to hang it up behind me. But yeah, he's just always been so nice and so grateful. And when we would see him at the access shows for WrestleMania and just painting, like working on some big, I guess you would call it a mural. I don't know that, right. Like would commemorate the WrestleMania weekend of the big match being shown. And it was just cool. It was cool to see that at that time, because I think it was like around WrestleMania 30 or so was when he was really getting a spotlight, that right. They were having an artist, that it was such a unique thing that WWE had is, hey, somebody right. who's making art of our stuff. We're going to showcase them, and they're making merch. He's selling
and it's
his
like
paintings,
official. Yeah, exactly.
And it would be on t-shirts and all kinds of stuff. And they would give him that opportunity to set up, and it's, hey, you can live the Carney lifestyle, sell your paintings here. Go ahead.
Right. What would you like to see him work on? If there was like an IP that you were like, oh, I want to see a bunch of work of his, of this specific IP, what would it be? Or maybe it could be less specific. Because I feel like I'd love to see,
I think you should
see what he does. Yes, there it is. All right, no matter what my real answer is going to be,
Tim Robinson paintings.
Yep, 100%. I want him to work in sketch comedy. Yes. I want to see him just work in all sketch comedy. I want to see him do like sketch comedy history.
Kids in the Hall?
The sketch comedy history. I want to see some little Britain out of him. I want to see some.
I'll take a Kids in the Hall and Blance painting.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Fantastic. Some State. I want to see some Doug.
Pro Squad 5. Whatever. Whatever. Let's see here. What else we got in the news? So many stories filtering through. Hey. Jake.
Yeah. What's up?
How many times you're living in New York? It's dangerous out there, right?
Okay.
Right? You gotta be. It's like Frogger.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. You mean as far as vehicles?
Yeah, because you get hit by a bus all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a constant New York thing that New Yorkers who are careful.
New Yorkers, listen, every New Yorker knows you're not a New Yorker until you had a nice good slice until you flipped off a cabbie and you got hit by a bus. Those are the three things that make New York. You know what I'm talking about? Let's go Rangers.
Yeah, AEW's Darby Allin shared a post on Instagram that he's recovering after being hit by a bus in New York City while crossing the street with his broken foot. He was well enough, however, to attend a Broadway play with artist Raymond Pentabon, who could be now the new Rob Schamberger of WWE. I don't know. He posted that awkward moment when you're crossing the street in New York with a broken foot and get hit by a bus. At least I can say with Raymond Pentabon and catch a Broadway show. So, the circumstances, I guess I had to see it to believe it. That's the next footage I want shown on Dynamite. Like if this becomes a thing with the Young Bucks and they just start showing security footage on AEW Dynamite, this is what's shown. The Young Bucks now showed this footage of cameras from the streets capturing Darby Allin getting hit by a bus. No audio.
Okay.
Just black and white footage. Just every week they have some, it's like GTV, right? But it's
totally.
Just, crazy incidents that are going on. And so that's what we get to see.
They just
That's
did it
what
on
I want.
WWE and on SmackDown. It should just be on all wrestling programs all the time, always. The photos look brutal, but I think it's also because it's just like a very unflattering, extreme close-up of a man's face with maybe a broken nose. Did he lean into the bus face first like it was a super kick?
I think it's also Darby Allin. So I can't imagine Darby Allin at any point that he, looks fine.
Right. It's a good point.
He just is he's just gnarled up
generally
forever. And if he's not, and he goes, I'm going to set my face on fire.
Gilbert in the chat did say, I want to revisit this here. Where was it? Oh, considering his wrestling style, how is Darby Allin safer in the ring than not in the ring? It does seem like he's more accident prone. Like he gets injured far less as a wrestler, which is surprising.
Yeah, it really is. You'd think that he's a very clumsy guy, but he's not. He's doing this on purpose. And then walking away. But the bus is another ordeal.
Nobody's seen that bus.
No, and who's that bus driver? Was it Rikishi? Is that the obvious joke?
It's the obvious joke, yeah. I am curious about the technical, the specifics of this, because it's pretty serious getting hit by a bus. I've seen Mean Girls. It's not, it's when it happens in
the
movies,
musical
it's pretty
or
hard.
the movie?
Both of it, all of it. I feel like based on the fact that he didn't specify that he's got like cracked ribs or I don't know. Did it clip him? Do you know what I mean? Like, did it not like hit him from the front? Did he kind of catch it from the side? Maybe. I'm fascinated.
A bus? I think a bus hits all of you. I don't know if
but
there's
only if you're in front of it. Not if he was like not paying attention and walked into it as it was going by. Maybe he just got hit with a side view mirror, smacked him in the face.
Well, I know he had a broken foot going in, so he was slowed, but maybe the bus was just, how you joke around, you go like, hey, there's a nun, 10 points. That if you hit a nun with your car, you get X amount of points.
Okay,
Maybe
how many points
like,
do you get for a wrestler?
Broken-footed wrestler, 38 points.
That's half a skeleton.
Yeah. So that happened.
That did happen.
And things are looking up for Nick Nemeth because he won the AAA Mega title at Triple Mania 32.
Good for him. Making his
Right?
rounds, getting all of his titles.
Senior Nemeth, good for him. He defeated a guy who's never faced before, I believe, Alberto El Patron.
They've never even been in the same company together, I don't think.
Never touched, bro. So, yeah, those two are at it again. He wins the title. That's not the only major title change. We had Swerve Strickland winning the AEW championship at AEW Dynasty.
Yeah, this got a lot of buzz. A lot of people were excited. People are really behind him. It sounds like he's, in a good place.
He's at AEW, so I don't know about that.
I'm sure that they put him in the main event on TV the following week, and they put a big spotlight on him, and they had a big giant celebration. They really made it seem like it was a real big important time because he's the new champ, and they probably gave him a huge segment at the top of the card. It would be my assumption.
Yeah, it sounds like something on Collision. Other than that, not so much.
Great.
He had a squash match. I saw it. The guy who's his manager who doesn't talk danced. So
great.
Yeah. You know what? There's other things. Broken Matt Hardy's back in TNA. That's something. There's a speed champion, and no, it's not Tony Khan.
Not that kind
all kinds of stuff.
Different kind of speed.
But let's just get into all things Tony Khan. He's our top story. There's not one thing. There's a lot of things. There's I don't know. I guess to get into things first, it was a segment on Dynamite, the Swerve Strickland Championship Dynamite show, where Jack Perry's status is going to be acknowledged by Tony Khan in ring. So we had the joy of Jack Perry talking and Tony Khan coming out to meet him and talking about what they're going to do. And Jack Perry has been off of AEW television for some time now. Mm-hmm. And he's now the scapegoat. He's wearing a leather jacket and he's acting so bad and mugging, I guess would be the way I'd phrase it.
Yeah.
That he does to the camera a lot.
Lots of
Have
mugging.
you watched it?
I watched this segment. Yes.
And you like it?
I had to. Of course not. It was.
Oh, I was just checking.
It showed it. It did nothing. Once again, AEW succeeds at doing nothing for anybody.
Yeah, it was a rough segment. So, to do a little recap of it, if you haven't seen it, I do recommend watching it because I think it's another milestone in the WCW 2000s of it all. So they are out there, they talk, they hug, and Jack Perry saying that he wants to be continuing as a not a pillar, but just He's one of the foundations of AEW, and he's going to keep being that. And let's be outrageous and outspoken together.
Which, by the way, because AEW with him have changed the world, the entire world, not the world of professional wrestling. Not the industry, but the world.
Zimbabwe has nothing but Barbary now.
Oh, is that true? I didn't know that.
I have to believe it because I just said it.
That is true.
So, they're going to make up, but during the hug, Jack Perry looks at the camera and gives a, I'm totally lying look. Like, okay.
Oh, at least he didn't... linger for too long.
And then he takes the microphone and hits Tony Khan in the gut, and Tony Khan goes down on the ground, lies prone, remembers to start selling after 2 or 3 seconds, then starts holding his stomach. The Elite come out.
But wait, so I have a theory. Okay, do you know sometimes like a small animal, when it gets scared, it will just go into shock? And you'll just assume that it died. I think he got hit in the tummy, okay, and it was so hard that his heart stopped for a little while. That's why he just falls completely straight. He falls like an action figure. What do I have? Oh, here we go. Perfect. I have a pencil. He falls like this. Like there's no bend, just completely. Like I think his heart stopped. He died. And then he came back after, his body was able to recuperate. And then his tummy hurt because he got hit. He went, oh, my tummy.
He fell like someone who'd been practicing trying to take a wrestling bump for an hour before the show. Trying to remember all things.
Yeah.
And then he starts selling. Then the Elite come out, and also Matt Jackson just mugs
upset.
too. They went to the same acting school, and they're holding Tony Khan up to do the. I don't ever recall
the TK driver. Oh,
no,
yeah,
no,
their
the
little
knee thing first.
Yeah, they're teasing
Bo
that they're going to
Jackson
give
is holding
him.
hand, and Tony Khan's
Yeah,
on his knees prone, and everyone thinks they're going to knee him. They don't. They go for the newly renamed Tony Khan driver, formerly the Meltzer driver. And I do like the moment as Matt has him for it, the pile driver, and Tony Khan's legs go in a panic and fucking vice grip Matt's neck. And there's some, it's not visible, but there's clearly some ease up. You're strangling me.
Hey.
Be the willow, not the oak. Goldeneye.
Be the willow, not the oak.
So they give him that, and then it's one of those segments where it's rough, where no one came out to help the boss beforehand. No one did anything, and then everyone comes in clumps.
Yep.
Rather than sporadic things or security, but the refs are just going, "What are you doing? Get out of here!" To the boss. The billionaire boss who's not been beat up before or attacked.
Well,
it's not really a big deal.
I mean, let's talk about consistency here, okay? They showed on TV, kayfabe presentationally, him get his life threatened backstage
by an unnamed individual.
So much so that person was fired for simply threatening him, for creating an hostile experience. I can only assume that both the Young Bucks and Jack Perry and, Okada are now completely and totally gone from AEW. We'll never gonna see them again. They have to be fired. It's the only thing that makes sense.
I guess so. Or Tony Khan should just fire himself.
Maybe that's what the Bucks were trying to do.
Well, I can't wait for this tag match between young up-and-comers Tony Khan and his father, Shad Khan, who had also made an appearance at the very end of the show, going like, "Is that what this show is? He invites me the one time, and I have to show up, and he gets beat up? What is this?" So he's there, unnamed. The one time Excalibur doesn't say who somebody is.
Give you a back. That's the guy who's paying for all of this.
That's the guy whose face he says he never wants to see is mine. So that happens. Tony Khan is then in a neck brace for all of the NFL draft.
Right. Selling it, keeping the kayfabe alive.
Yeah. He's wearing something. He's not doing the actions. He's moving his neck around like he's a new fucking Pez dispenser. I don't know. He's just happily there with his coffee and just going like, a fucking bird who hears everything. So that doesn't impress me. On the Pat McAfee show, there was some other people who they commented on it, and other guys who I don't know. They're from the world of sports, but they are saying, "Keep the kayfabe, bro. Stop moving your neck around." So I did enjoy that. And then Tony Khan did some press on ESPN.
That he
did. You see this? You hear about this?
I heard. I saw the short clips that kept getting presented. They were out of context, but I also think that I didn't need more context because I think he said everything he meant to say. He was very sales pitchy. He kept just doing a sales pitch, and then he made some remarks about the about the WWE and the business that they're in. Yeah,
so agreed. Like, he's talking about the show, they're asking about his neck, and the hosts of ESPN are doing, they're maintaining, they're not joking about 100%. It. They're going like, "And you took a move," right. And they do joke at, "You took a pile driver." And it's wait, it's called the Tony Khan driver.
It's named after you. Yeah.
You took it. You didn't see that coming, or kind of.
Yeah. He even made that joke. I thought was good. I was like, oh, Tony Khan was like, oh, I guess in hindsight, I should have seen that comment. I was like, oh, there you go, Tony. You look at that. You put a good thought together, a good little joke.
And then yes, plug a show all the time, saying like, oh, and it's on this night and this thing. Like, okay, yeah, makes sense. You're talking to an audience that isn't seeing your show on the regular. Of course, yeah, plug away. Makes sense. And then makes comparisons to saying that, you know, WWE is an evil juggernaut, and then that his company, AEW, his wrestling company, is like the Pepsi.
Right.
And then you go, he's going to say WWE is the
CM Punk.
Coke of it, right? Or WWE's
right.
maybe they're the President's Choice Cola or some sort of
RC.
Yeah, some sort of dig. Something's like, no, nobody likes that thing. They're a sparkling water. He says, AEW's a Pepsi of pro wrestling, and WWE's like the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling. And you go, I'm
not good at analogies. He's not very good at analogies.
Not a great thing to say on television, because the ESPN hosts go, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. All in the back of their head going like, hey, man, please don't bring up a rapist on our show. Thanks for talking about things. And also,
I kind of do get this.
We cover them.
I do get this, though, because there's a lot of wrestling podcasts out there. Do you know what I mean? And you've got like these big shows, you know, like Eric Bischoff's podcast, very popular, you know, and then you've got a show like the Pro Wrestling Palskis. And I think the Pro Wrestling Palskis, like we're like the Kellogg's Rice Krispies of wrestling podcasts, right? And 83 Weeks, they're like the Bill Cosby of podcasts. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like those two things. Like you got Rice Krispies and you got Bill Cosby. Two things that are comparable.
Wow.
No?
Normally when I go in this territory, you get all kinds of upset. I'm just shocked to see you do it.
Work? That's not how analogies work? I'm lost here.
Yeah, and he's not saying that people. He's not saying that, you know, hey, this company is run by a guy who's like this. Like he didn't isolate it. He didn't call it where it needed to be and saying like Vince McMahon, the guy who founded this whole thing, like he's a bad dude. Like, yeah, you have some ground to stand on with that. Say the entire company. He thought
he was being funny. Yeah, he thought he was being funny.
Sure did.
And he thought he was being cutting and edgy. But in actuality...
Copelandy.
Yes. Atomy. He was being adamant. He thought he was being
adamant. He's got a lot of those, so you can't... Man,
I honestly, it's fucking... It's embarrassing.
That's in poor taste.
It's in poor taste. Also, I don't know, like... is it possible that he ends up with some sort of lawsuit because of that? Like... Is there enough intent behind that statement? I guess the idea is like WWE as an entity might not have legal grounds had he said like, you know, this specific person, if you
called someone out that
wasn't Vince being accused of. Yeah.
Well, we've alluded to before, and there's been stories going around about Jericho.
Totally.
And who knows what that is. And also, you also employ professional wrestlers. You're not squeaky clean because somebody's a dirtbag in there somewhere. Going to be shown at some point. So you can't to do that. You're taking shots, but you distract from everything. I don't think that gets any viewers of any kind to your product that are watching football that go, I love Pepsi and I hate rape. Okay, I'm in.
That's the other thing too, is that like there's so many different messages he's attempting to sell here. If you want to sell the message, hey, you guys, we're the underdog, right? We're the young, scrappy company. You know what I mean? And we're in competition with this global evil empire. Even if you want to throw evil into it and just, you know what I mean? Like, but like, if you want to sell the analogy that you're the little guy, then like prove that you have a chip on your shoulder, that your product is different and better, and your stars are hungrier, and you're unique, and you're doing something different. A lot of people, I think.
I don't know why he didn't speak in football terms, that he's not making comparisons, that if there is some sort of thing, right? Like, you obviously can't go NFL and Bon Jovi's Arena Football or some shit like that because you're in the NFL. But if you're trying to say, hey, they got these guys and maybe you know them, but if some of your favorites, like if there's a guy that is in any way comparable to Adam Copeland in the NFL, they go like, hey, you know that guy is, and you start to talk about him and you go like, we got Adam Copeland. He was formerly Edge in WWE, but now he's with us and he's more excited and hungrier than ever. So this legendary guy's giving it back. If he's a Brett Favre, I don't know, right? Like he's a legendary guy and he's back in the game and he's not retiring and he's at his best that he's ever been. He's there. You got to check him out on our show. That kind of thing. But it's
not maybe in the context of him referencing Weinstein, maybe not the best football player to pull, but I understand the intent.
Weinstein.
Yeah, Brett Favre also in trouble for
is he?
Not so great shit with friends of the pod. We got that whole conversation off air.
Oh, I have no idea.
Anyways, yeah, the intent is I'm trying to get at is like, if you want to sell some shit, sell that shit. And that's fine. It's wrestling. It's all just carny bullshit. It's all just a carnival. And you want to say that we're the best thing. And this is why you should watch our product over the other product. This is just sales. This is just every fucking art form there is. Right. But there is also an issue with the premise at its core. And that is like, you're not ECW. Do you know what I mean? You're not the actual little guy. Like ECW needed to borrow money from fucking Vince McMahon and WWE just to fucking survive as long as it did. Like they were an actual small guy underdog.
To borrow money from his dad.
And that's the thing. It's like you're still a fucking billionaire.
Yeah, there's the pity party for a billionaire.
100%. That's what it is. It's not
there.
The image that I think he wants to have and who he inherently is flawed. The irony.
Yeah, like I'm a fan
irony,
just like you. Like I'm just one of the guys and I'm getting to make and do all this. Right. Yeah, with an endless fucking pocketbook. Yeah, that's the big difference.
The fucking ultimate irony of this whole thing is that he is in real life what the Mr. McMahon character was trying to, what McMahon wanted to be. Like, McMahon always wanted to be seen as this big fucking billionaire with all, like
Star
throwing money.
Club.
I know, literally, Khan is that. And he's trying to be like, I'm just some suburban kid who likes wrestling. Like, if you really want to be an on-screen character, which, by the way, he has the fucking chemistry of this fucking pencil I used as an analogy. Of
hey, leave that pencil alone.
Yeah, I mean, he shouldn't be on screen, but if he's gonna be on screen, like your reality is great wrestling heel. Like your reality is better than what other people can attempt to fucking make up. It's the reason why Logan Paul works so much better than The Miz ever did. Do you know? Like there's an authenticity there. Lean into that.
Yeah, this is something I talked with Roseka about years ago, that the persona of what he would be is something that we don't know if he could actually pull off. Because I'm like, if you had 6 weeks with the guy, could you actually, do you think, get him up to snuff to be the character that the fans would believably perceive as you're the new guy, you're the new billionaire, you're a tech savvy dude, you're hip to everything, and you're not this big braggadocious, muscle-bound McMahon.
Right.
You are a small guy. You are a twerpy guy, but you have all the power. And like in your phone, you could be having your phone and go like, yeah, I just made $10 million right now where you're talking to me. Sorry, what?
Right. 100%.
Okay, I have a problem with you. Yeah, I just signed your competition for next week.
Right.
They're under contract somewhere else. But I've opened the forbidden door and I just threw so much money at it that it's going to come and break your face. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like that type of thing. But I don't think he can pull it off and perform it.
I think it's also...
He also hasn't taken the time to do any of that in this time.
100%. Well, and let's also get into this because I do think that's a great idea. I do think a part of it, though, is that Tony Khan really does want to be like loved. He wants that hug that he never got from his dad from the AEW fandom.
And even when he's beat up, that he's like, "What? Is someone gonna hug him? Please,
right.
I'm not doing it. Somebody hug this kid."
This is my question. What the fuck is the point of this story? Are we supposed to be booing the Elite against Tony Khan? And if so, are they upset that Tony Khan wanted them to air that footage? And if so, shouldn't we agree with that because it was a bad idea? Does this play into that at all? Like, what? I don't understand the story for a company that generally has someone on commentary holding your hand through a ton of fucking story beats and trying to fill you in all the shit that they didn't bother showing on TV. Right. I'm so lost as to what the intent of any of this shit is. And not in a good way. There's sometimes where, like, you know, a pro wrestling segment will end and there'll be a question mark of like, oh, why did that person show up? What's that person here for? Who are they aligned with? You know, and that's
a mystery
fine.
That leads us to wanting to see more, knowing what's next, rather than, like you're saying, because all that point is totally valid, and I hadn't thought of it that way. I'm thinking of, okay, we have 4 people who are the opposition. We have Matt Jackson, we have Nick Jackson, right. We have Okada, and we have Jack Perry.
Yes.
All who have aligned with each other. We know 3 are the Elite, and then Jack Perry is there aligned with them, and they've attacked the boss. Okada technically didn't yet, but he didn't stop it.
Right. Yeah, he's part of it. He's an accessory.
Yeah. He just hasn't laid hands yet as well. So you can always make the justification of like, maybe he's going to go, that's too much, guys. And then he'll break off. But currently
he would be great at that.
We don't have the opposition. We don't have the heroes that are there to stop it. We don't have anyone right now that are aligned with Tony Khan. CM Punk, the guy that people like, that we're not supposed to like via AEW because he was mean, is loved and chanted for in the other company. So he's not going to show up and fight the bad guys. Kenny Omega is coming back. He could be a person, but seemingly what I mean by this, you can always make something and do whatever it is, but they have to create this from nothing. They don't have the good guy force to go against this.
Right. Yeah, there's been a lot of comparisons.
What is that story? What is that going to be where you go, man, I really hope that this person or persons show up and stop them.
There's been a lot of comparison with Bischoff in WCW. People have been like, oh, this is like that. And I'm like, but the difference is that in WCW, you're dealing with Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, the biggest name in all of pro wrestling. And then the other players that are NWO? Yeah, well, there are people that are just comparing. I'm seeing a lot of online people saying like, oh, this is no different than Bischoff becoming an on-screen talent and Bischoff becoming involved with, I agree, but like I'm seeing, you see a lot of AEW.
Like in the McMahon way, he introduced himself right from the beginning that he was a commentator.
Right.
So he was always there. Tony Khan originally appeared on camera for Brody Lee for the, Celebration of Life. And then we saw him on occasion, and then it was the announcements, and then he's making announcements with Tony Schiavone. So we also knew who he was from the get-go, that he's not Eric Bischoff being the owner, much like Vince McMahon, is found out later. Vince was way later from the days of course, when you started seeing him on TV. He was an announcer. That was it. He didn't. President Jack Tunney owned the fucking thing. That's what we knew as fans. Right. And Bischoff was revealed in a much shorter time span. But Tony Khan, right from the get-go, we just didn't know how much power that dude had. We thought the wrestlers had more power.
Right. 100%.
That it was more their company and he's just funding it.
Yeah. The money mark.
So it's to say that it's the same as that. These fans are delusional.
Yeah, I don't know. I again, at the end of the day, I just don't know what this did for anybody. This feels like it feels like that classic trope of, well, the ship might be sinking. And so if we put the guy who's paying for it, even though it's not really, because we know that it's daddy, but we put the guy who's paying for it on TV, give him a big spotlight. We put ourselves, get ourselves as close as in on that as possible. This seems like, job security for Jack Perry, for Okada, for the Bucks. And yeah, I do think that it makes the most sense to having a returning Kenny Omega align himself as a baby face with Tony Khan, assuming that that's what we're doing. I mean, I can only assume that like the Elite here again are the heels, but how sad is it that I don't know what they're trying to present, But,
to me, it's their heels, but I don't know the greater purpose of this because of the mixed message previously of, hey, we're going to show you Punk and he was bad, but we're not. And Jack Perry's
better.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, and Tony Khan, the stories always go, it's like, yeah, he's a nice dude. And like you said, he wants to be liked, and I can see why. And he's very passionate about his product, which is all awesome. I think it's just a mishmash of not great people being put at the helm or not great people being featured. And clearly it works for some. It's not, I don't think, enough of an audience right now to justify a lot of the stuff. But in good news of Tony Khan, the neck brace he wore during the NFL draft is being auctioned off for charity. Proceeds are going to be going to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So certainly not a bad dude. Who wants that thing? I don't fucking know.
I mean, is there any chance that it's not like an actual employee of AEW who ends up buying it? Being like, yeah.
He makes QT Marshall buy it.
Oh no, poor QT. He's been through enough.
He's like, I don't really want it. Hey, it helps out the St. Jude. Okay.
Oh, what if Cody?
I donate to them regularly. Yeah. But the neck brace would be a real big help.
Okay.
I don't want it though. I'll just give money. Don't give me a neck brace.
Just
Cody Rhodes should be wearing a neck brace. That way you wouldn't see the tattoo.
He's gonna draw that tattoo on the neck brace. That way it's still there. What if CM Punk buys it?
Oh my God,
that'd be amazing. With all that money, that he made from AEW, and as well as that's fucking. I mean, God, I hope CM Punk buys it. Is it autographed? He had to have autographed it, right? Tony Khan?
I don't know. He has so much neck and nerve damage. Maybe he can't write anymore.
Oh, Maslam in the chat. Conrad Thompson will buy it. Yeah, that's right. He will. Yeah,
and then he'll do the pay-per-view of Tony Khan's first and last match.
I don't know. I mentioned it earlier. I think another issue I have with this entire segment and this whole thing being such a focus pull is you've got, is it the New Japan Championship? It's also on the show.
Yeah.
What's that title?
IWGP.
Okay. Yes, thank you. The IWGP title. That's another big focus pull. You just gave this guy who's super popular your world title. And it does feel like, no, we don't care. He has the title, not important to the program, not connected in any way to this. He's not the company guy who came out at the end and was like, not that we need a feud necessarily between him and the Bucks, but still, like, this did absolutely nothing for your new world champion, not the fucking partner company's world champion, but your world champion.
Yeah, I think it's a misstep for Dynamite, but again, they do 3 shows a week of television, and it sounded like
isn't Dynamite the show though?
Whatever. I mean,
yeah, whatever.
On Collision, what came about was they showed up. The move sounded like it made sense. I think in hindsight I would put emphasis on Dynamite saying the champion is going to be showing up on Collision because it was the moment after the NBA playoffs ended. And there's not a break. It's just directly, hey, basketball's over. Here's the champ of AEW. It's this guy. So that is ambitious. because that is trying to draw in new viewers at that moment. You weren't getting the lead in from Dynamite of new people watching, but you're getting sports fans seeing Swerve Strickland immediately afterwards. So
Right. Yeah.
that move makes sense. I think they did try something there.
Okay. That's a fair defense. Yeah.
I don't, in the world of those shows where everything's chaos and nothing's followed through on, that's not totally surprising. It's not the
right. Yeah.
It's not. It's just kind of par for the course.
Yeah, I think unfortunately this is a setup for more TK on TV as a character on the program with a microphone, and I think we're going to see a lot more bumps at him. I mean, listen, I'm all for
we're going to see a match.
Suit
I mean,
taking bad bumps. That's part of pro wrestling. Okay. You see a guy who's not a wrestler take a floppy, terrible bump. I enjoyed that every now and then. That's fine. We all like to laugh at that, right? But
a little bit. But we want to feel some sympathy for the person.
100%. Yeah.
And like you said, a billionaire, that's tough. Yeah. In this modern age where we've had enough of the billionaires, they have too much money and people talking out about it. And he's one too. He may be the nicest guy in the world, but he's still a fucking billionaire. And why do I feel bad if you're doing wrestling poorly? So now he's also taking time away from other talents that could be doing bumps well.
Sure.
And be involved in the story. And hopefully he was just to make the bigger point of, look, Jack Perry beat up the boss. This guy's important. I'm stepping away now out of the spotlight, and now wrestlers are going to wrestle.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
That would be nice.
All right. Well, we got to go take a hotline call or two. But once again, before we get out of here for the live stream, we must acknowledge Strong Style, a.k.a. Gaines, current PWP World Champ, will defend his title in the next episode. Thanks to those of you who joined us live for the live stream. We're going to go take some hotline calls. Scott Narver, say goodbye to the live stream.
Bye, live stream.
We will be back in just a short while here for another episode. We're going to be cracking open the WWE Encyclopedia for the 15th time. Holy guacamole. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for putting up with all the tech difficulties today. We hope that you had as much fun
about
as
that. Yeah.
It's all Sushi Pants' fault. Bye, everybody. 747-666-5606. That's the number to the Pro Wrestling Palskis hotline, or you can send a voice memo to hotline@pwpalskis.com. That's hotline@pwpalskis.com, and we'll play it right here on the program, just like this.
Hey, Palskis. Dangerous old man from Cincinnati. Been a while. Thought I'd call in. I have a quick confession. I haven't actually watched a full wrestling match since probably 2021, probably 3 years. I just lost interest completely. I still love the podcast and listen, but I decided to follow the herd and watch WrestleMania this time from front to back both nights. And I gotta say, I'm kind of tipping towards being back in the pool. There are some things that bored me and I rolled my eyes, and there were some things that just blew me away, and I can't wait to see more of. Number one, I've never been a big, fan of KO, but that whole interaction with him and Randy Orton with the driving the car and them faking like Randy's gonna, do his finishing move on him, and then it was so great. Just that whole interaction was great. And then, holy crap, Jade friggin' Cargill. I don't even know what to say about that girl. I've never seen her before. This is the first time I ever laid eyes on her. That is a living superhero. If that girl lives up to her potential and can deliver a promo, I think she's probably the GOAT woman of all time just from her physical looks. It's incredible. So, love the Cody stuff. I don't know. I'm not fully back in yet, but I got to say it definitely piqued my interest, and I do like this new generation. I hope you guys are having fun. We'll talk to you soon.
Dangerous old man from the OH. It's been a while since we've heard from Dangerous Old Man, and he doesn't really sound that dangerous. I feel like he's getting real soft in his old age.
I question the old
delightful
as well.
Old man. Yeah, delightful old man, I think is what we're going to go with.
Could be delightful middle-aged man.
been a couple years since he's really been on the hook for the actual wrestling programs, and said that Mania has piqued his interest. I mean, I love to hear
Since
this.
watching
This is
a
good stuff.
match.
Yeah. I wonder if he didn't mean like a show, like watching an entire show by match.
No, I assume,
Yeah.
even though he might be dangerous and old, he knew what he said.
Okay.
That'd be a match.
I like that he was won over by KO because everybody knows he's one of my favorites. And I agree. Everything he did at Mania with Orton was fantastic and hilarious. I think he's one of the best in the ring, one of the best outside the ring. He's just that fucking good. I'm trying to think of what. So the last time he was watching was, Thunderdome, it sounds like, which no wonder you stopped watching.
I mean, we stopped watching. I think
Yeah,
that I'm
no,
a fair amount of people
100%.
that we've had a similar journey with this stuff, that I got burnt out. I felt like stuff wasn't good. Companies weren't putting their best foot forward. Things were just strange and weird.
Yeah.
And here and there, like AEW has its moments where it's really great and fun. And then WWE, to me, struggled for a long while, but now it's really finding their footing. I've taken more interest in watching just some AEW here and there again, even though I'm not enjoying it, but I'll peruse and look. When before I just was wiping my hands off and I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't want to watch.
Yeah.
Broken Matt Hardy's
give it
back in
time.
TNA. I'm going to be figuring out how to watch some of that. And I think that's the nice part of the time that we're in is if you're not watching full shows, if you're not checking out both nights of WrestleMania, if you're not watching all of a Raw or a Dynamite, then you can go, yeah, I'm watching some segments here and there. I check it out however I check it out. Either you record the show on your DVR and you fast forward to the segments you want to see, or if you're checking it out on social media and you just see the moments you want to see, that's enough to get you to wherever it is however much time you want to put in. That you don't have to be a completionist and watch the entire show of everything, but you follow a couple people. Great. Still got your toe in the pool.
If you only have 3 minutes to spare and a Twitter account, WWE has you set up.
That's right. Have you watched that?
No. No, I
don't have the time.
I don't know the interest. What else? Oh, he talked about seeing Jade for the first time. And I mean, I'm right there with you as far as like when it comes to just the appearance alone, where it's like, yeah, what do I want a wrestler to look like? I'd be hard pressed to say that she doesn't have literally the perfect look for a pro wrestler. I mean, I'm right there with you.
I don't know, white hair. Do you want
They're leaning
do you
into
want your wrestlers
Storm?
like Steve Martin?
I like it. It suits her. I like it. It's unique.
All right. You just don't go like, oh, she's old.
Not at all. No, I don't associate white hair with old anymore.
What?
Yeah, because it's a popular fad thing. I have had female friends in their 30s with white hair because it became like a thing to do, was to dye your hair.
130s.
You spend way too much time in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Oh, goddamn.
Oh,
anyways,
yeah. You and Tamina there playing shuffleboard.
Hey, she's a fucking mean shuffleboard player.
Nobody
when it comes
meaner
to
than
shuffleboard,
shuffleboard and
there's
Tamina.
nobody mean. God damn it, you beat me to it. Okay. Thanks so much for the call, Dangerous Old Man. We're super stoked that you're a little bit more interested than you were, and I'm right there with you. The build up to Mania, the story with the Bloodline. I feel like the same thing happened last year, where the Bloodline and Sammy pulled me back in. I really loved what was happening with that story, and then with KO and the Usos, I really enjoyed all of that. Then it jumped the shark, where they had a whole Bloodline civil war, and then for some reason, one of the Usos turned on the other one again for the 12th time, and that's when I was like, all right, I'm fucking done with the Bloodline. But this build up to Mania, pretty much from the Rumble on, pulled me right back in, and I
think it's just good to recognize
more
that
interested now.
if you're not digging wrestling and you're just kind of burnt out or nothing's really hitting, just back off. keep listening to this podcast.
100%.
You know, get that barometer of like, oh, something's kind of interesting to them, or you hear about something and you go, okay, I got to check them out. And then, yeah, check it out in your own time. Wrestling will always be there. There's always something interesting going on somewhere. It just may not click for you, but don't write it off entirely. Just give it a little breather and it'll get good again.
I completely agree. All right, let's take another call here.
Hey, yo, it's Daniel Clayton from Pittsburgh. 1/3 or 1/2 of Aces and Outs. Haven't called in a while, but I just wanted to say I really enjoyed WrestleMania. It was fun to get to watch one night with a girlfriend who hasn't watched many WrestleManias, so that was fun. And I just want to say, in light of Into Sheer being released, I think now that WWE can bring back a smaller Indian dude and just call him Light Veer. Goodbye.
Daniel Clayton from Aces and Notes. It's been a while since we've heard from the Oat Factory. I miss our Oat Factory calls. Thanks so much for calling.
That was a volleyball match in and of itself. It was a set. What is it? A one thing and a set and a spike.
Yeah. I don't think that Into Sheer, I think the other guy is still employed. I think it was just Veer and Mahal who got let go. I think the other guy.
3. I mentioned 3.
I missed that. Well, there you go. Light Veer.
Veer, Sangha, and Jinder Mahal.
Gotcha, Sangha. I missed Sangha. All right, well, who should Light Veer be?
I mean, you're one of the Bollywood boys, right?
Just one of them?
Yeah, sorry. Other guy. Whichever one fell on his neck first when Orton tossed him.
All right. Respect that. God, you love to see it. All right. One more call here before we get out of here.
Hey, everybody. This is Spitz of Retribution. And I am calling because I'm really glad that Drew McIntyre re-signed with WWE. I know his contract is almost up, but now we'll definitely get to see him at Clash at the Castle. There's a lot of good potential with him for upcoming storylines. So yeah, I know that there's been a lot of negativity out there lately around the wrestling world, and a lot of it deserved. But I think that, you just got to celebrate the good things. And Drew McIntyre's on a really good run. He's doing great stuff. And I was afraid that if he didn't want to sign, that all that momentum would be stopped. I mean, I would get it if he didn't want to be re-signed. He's really hot right now. Could go over to a different company. But, no, I think this is great. I think this is good. I'm really excited by it. Anyway, take care, y'all. Have a good day.
Mass Llama, despite the tone of his voice, really excited about it. We touched on this earlier. I completely agree. Like, the momentum has been built in such a way that, you would just be pulling the rug out from under yourself if you didn't resign and you're a big, tall Scotsman.
Yeah, I mean, money's potentially being thrown around. So whether or not you go with what you got going, or you believe you have enough to carry whatever you're doing somewhere else, and you feel like the booking team can follow through with that, or you just go, I'll take all that money. That's fine. I don't care about the work I do.
Can I say though, that's kind of what I mean when I say momentum. I don't just mean like the kayfabe of it all. I mean that like there's an investment in the character, and he's built so much equity to the point where he's setting himself up to make more money in WWE in the future by sticking around now. Because again, like you have all of these people who are gonna be big money matches that are coming down the pipeline for you to work with. And I think that even if Tony Khan or another company threw him a big paycheck, I can't imagine it would last. I can't imagine that it would be for a long period of time that would make it worthwhile. Even if WWE only offered him like an extension or a short-term thing, that renegotiation after the next couple years for him is going to be huge.
See, I don't think that way at all with Nick Khan involved.
Okay. That's fair.
Because there's no precedent to say that's the case with Nick Khan being involved. I think in Cameron Grimes' video, he acknowledges saying that a week before he was told that there's no reason to worry about his job.
Oh, shit. Who told him that, though? Was it Drake Maverick?
I don't know. I haven't watched that whole video. I can't imagine he outs someone's name.
I like to think it was Jinder.
Maybe he does. Yeah. Hey, dude, you're good. I know The Rock. But there's no. This is a totally different regime that we're dealing with. Nick Khan has shown that he's been quite cutthroat when it comes to cutting contracts with people. You go, really? You're going to cut them? He saves money where he saves money. He's cut big names before, and he's cut people that this isn't a big squad of names, but there are a couple of surprises amongst it, especially a guy who just worked with The Rock, and The Rock had very positive things to say and left voicemails to him and saying like, hey, it went really great. And I think alluded to, we're going to do great stuff in the future too. I don't think Rock was just saying about himself.
Right.
So
yeah,
I'm sure Jinder, he had talked to Chris Van Vliet a little bit ago and had a very nice political acknowledgement of like, I'm a little confused, or I think that I think it was before that. So it's like, I think great things are coming. So I don't know. Nothing speaks to me that everyone is secure and everyone's fine and everyone's going to be big money. The other indicator is still that image of post WrestleMania 40 night 2. Everyone's celebrating with Cody Rhodes. Everybody's smiling. Not Nick Khan.
Right.
No fucking grin on his face. No semblance of just cold, dead money face. Like, you better work. You better make money or otherwise you're gone too.
Oh man. I mean, I kind of like that. The Axeman just lingering in the corner, just ready to fucking cut off limbs. No, of course that's terrible. But there you have it. Once again, if you want to call the hotline, 747-666-5606. Thanks to everybody who called, especially those of you who we haven't heard from a while. Always nice to hear from you. That'll do it for this week's program. If you haven't, once again, Patreon, best way to support the show. Please consider throwing us just a few bucks a month. We don't ask for much, and you get a lot for your dollar. As well as
we got video watch-alongs now.
Yeah, those are super fun, super fantastic. You just pop on your player and watch right along. You don't even have to, you don't even have to like set up syncing stuff. You can just watch the video. You'll see the match. You'll see us. You'll hear us. You'll hear the match. Everything is fantastic over there, over on the Patreon. So please consider becoming a patron. Also, check out the shop over at dragonwagonshop.com. Snag yourself some fantastic merchandise. Another great way to support the program. High quality stuff for affordable prices. All helps us keep this program going. And Scott, I think we have to thank our current Patreon Palskis.
That's right. This is the only show that hands out Retribution names as well as Maximum Male Model names, because Nick Khan's not going to hand them out. He's only handing out pink slips. So thank you to AJ0314, aka Binary, aka Matrice69, Alex Pierce, aka Figs, aka Zitoys, Alice Raider, aka Invasion, aka Yves Joie, Andrea Beeler, aka Pollen Hate, aka Achu Detest, Curtis Mason, aka Hurtis, aka Auche, Gilbert Short, aka Goliathon, aka Batal Underus, Maslama, aka Spitz, aka Jakara Lover, Michael Beltran, aka Limestone, aka La Naturel, Miguel Diaz, aka Bipod, aka Too Much Husk, Mike Lucas, aka Hackensack, aka Luge Testicle, Strong Style, aka Gaines, aka the current PWP champ, Suicide, aka AKA Tim Bemis, aka War Trek, aka Tussle Quest, Tim Redbeard, aka Bloodfuzz, aka Blue Diffuse, Tom Hader, aka Cupid, aka Cherub, and Tony Griggs, aka Big Griggs, aka Grand Grisois.
Thanks to each and every one of you for continued support of the program. We sure do appreciate it. That'll do it for this week's show. We'll see you next week for another edition of the WWE Encyclopedia. We hope you had a good one, as always.
And potential new champion.
And a potential new champion for that PWP title, the coveted PWP title. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. As always, an absolute blast hanging out with you guys, the Pro Wrestling Palskis.
Internet! I'm Coy Jandro, a Bostonian who loves pop culture, comic books, and people. And I host Coycast. It's a podcast about all those things. If it fits in on a con floor, we talk about it on Coycast. Myself and producer Jake do previews, reviews, deep dives, and tinfoil hat theories about everything from movies, TV, and the comic books themselves. I also like to dish out comic recommendations from my 100-plus pull list a week so you know what's best to buy. So join us, True Believer, on Coycast.com or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now.
Dragon Wagon.